now listening to the Zay Moore Podcast.
I want to know what Zay thinks
There's a
about
few
that.
things that we got to address.
Black people got the swag. Black people set the trends. We are the culture. We got a reality star for our president. It's insane. Even if they try to erase black history out of schools, it's not going to erase black history. Because we've been here. Kendrick Lamar definitely beat Drake in that battle. Hands down. At the end of the day, I'm going to keep it real with my people. Because if we don't keep it real with each other, who will?
What is going on, everybody? This is your boy Zay Moore, and I want to welcome you back to the Zay Moore Podcast. This is episode 10, and today is July 27th, and I hope y'all feeling good. How you feeling? I'm feeling great. I woke up today, I went and got my Starbucks, I did my little walk, you feel me? I got my little snazzy on, and I'm ready to talk with y'all. We got a lot of things to talk about, so I hope y'all are ready to listen, you sitting back, you relaxed, and you're ready to party. Y'all seen Bridesmaids? Tell me you've seen that movie. It's hilarious. Yeah, y'all, but today I'm excited about today's show. It's jam-packed. We got a lot to talk about. We're getting into the Epstein files, why the public is so obsessed with it. Why is Trump so obsessed with the Epstein files? That's a bigger conversation. We're going to get into that. We're also going to be discussing the William McNeil story, the young black man who was driving, pulled over for having his headlight out, and it turned into WWE SmackDown. We're going to be discussing that. We're also going to get into the 2-year limit that Trump is proposing on public assistance or government housing, right? And the majority that depends on that stuff and the pros and cons of it. Last but not least, we're going to quickly cover the death of Hulk Hogan, ironically being on the anniversary of the day that he was exposed for being an alleged racist. I'm not going to say racist, right? I want to have some respect for the wigger. So I'll say an alleged racist. We're going to get into all of that. There's a lot of opinions out there. We're going to start with the facts and then unpack it from there. Y'all ready? So let's dive in by starting with the William McNeil story. William McNeil Jr., a 22-year-old black man, has spoken publicly about a violent arrest captured on video in Jacksonville. This is a February incident, by the way. The footage shows law enforcement breaking his car window and punching him after he refused to exit the vehicle during a traffic stop. McNeil says the incident has left him with PTSD, nightmares, flashbacks, and a deep mistrust of police. I don't even drive anymore. I have flashbacks and nightmares. This is what he said to ABC News in an interview. Jacksonville Mayor Donna Degan described this video as disturbing and praised transparency after the body cam footage was released. Both administrative and criminal reviews are underway. The local state attorney has declined to press criminal charges, though one officer has been stripped of law enforcement authority pending the outcome of investigations. A few notes on this case that is kind of sparking viral debate is that there was a refusal to exit the vehicle from McNeil. Police claim McNeil was pulled over after a traffic violation that's linked to the light that I mentioned, the headlight being out. He refused to comply, instead questioning the officers repeatedly, which they say prolonged and escalated the encounter. Under Florida law, officers can legally order a driver out of a vehicle during a stop, per Pennsylvania versus Mims precedent. The window was rolled up, the doors were locked. McNeil refused, as I did say, to roll his windows all the way down or unlock the doors, citing safety concerns. Officers then warned him that they would break the window and forcibly remove him. Critics argued that this refusal to comply, even if he felt unsafe, legally justified police intervention under failure to obey a lawful order. Also, the cops did discover within that encounter that McNeil was driving with a suspended license, which on his end, he fucked up. I mean, there's really no other words to say it, right? You're not supposed to be on the road with a suspended license. That's just like common knowledge as a driver, you feel me? So, yeah, that was wrong on his part. There has to be some accountability there. However, right, there was no threat on his end coming from McNeil. So I still don't see any justification in the way that the cops carried out the arrest, right? Once you broke the window, you already had set in the fear in the person that was in the car. You didn't need to then deck him through the window, you feel me? Pull him out, deck him again, slam him on the floor. Like, all that wasn't necessary. For a light being out, and driving with a suspended license, come on. Y'all wasn't chasing Frank Lucas or like a descendant of Frank Lucas. Y'all was just, this is just a regular traffic stop. And if he wasn't complying, yeah, call for backup or something. It was 3 of y'all. 1 white cop, 1 black cop, and I believe the other one was Spanish. And that black cop who was just standing there allowing that shit to go down like that, yeah, throw him away. Throw him away. Him and his whole family, throw him away. Because at some point, it's like, what are we doing, right? Y'all are here to protect and serve. Y'all should be trained to handle situations like that better. That was not a threatening situation for y'all. There was no reason for y'all to carry out the arrest the way you did. And we standing on it. You feel me? You know what I would have done if I was the cop and he wasn't complying? I would have maybe called for a deputy, called for some authority. You feel me? But I don't feel like in that situation that force was necessary. And I'm going to keep saying it. You feel me? Because a lot of critics are saying, oh, well, his non-compliance should not be ignored. His comments calling it racism and all this other shit is overshadowing his non-compliance. No, it's not. We know the facts. Okay, he wasn't compliant. He was driving with a suspended license. Okay, now I want y'all to go ahead and give me a logical explanation, acceptable explanation as to why that amount of force was necessary. You can't, because it wasn't. like it just wasn't. And we're not about to let them play in our face. And that's why people like me and other people need to continue to speak out. Point blank, period. Because we got a long way to go with this police brutality bullshit. You would have thought we'd be moving in a great direction after the George Floyd situation, after Breonna Taylor, after like it's just so many other situations. And you would think that these police forces are taking the proper precautions to make sure that these people on the streets who are supposed to be protecting and serving are doing it with integrity and for the right moral reasons. They're not out here just with hate in their heart. Yeah, man, but we'll follow the story. We'll see what unfolds. There's been no charges on either side. So McNeil hasn't pressed charges. The police force hasn't pressed charges. As far as we know, I do believe one of the officers was put on leave. And they're just investigating the situation as of right now. So, yeah, man, salute to McNeil. Stay off the road, brother. If you ain't got no valid license, you feel me? Don't give the cops another reason to fuck with you. And yeah, y'all, keep your head on the swivel out there. So moving on, y'all know I love conspiracy, and I want to dive into this story because I feel like it's a lot of connections and secrecy going on. And we're talking about the Jeffrey Epstein files. A Republican-led House Oversight Committee is deepening its investigation into the Jeffrey Epstein case. They have subpoenaed unredacted DOJ case files and plan to depose Ghislaine Maxwell under oath in prison, targeting a deposition on August 11th, 2025. Meanwhile, House Representative Ro Khanna, I believe that's how you say that name, Khanna, and Robert Garcia have formally requested Epstein's alleged birthday book from 2003, which may contain a handwritten message from Donald Trump, though he denies this, and he's actually suing over this claim. All right, y'all. So before we go too deep into it, because I have some connections to make, I want to go to CBS News to get a brief overview of everything, and then I'll be right back with y'all.
The Trump administration is facing renewed calls for full transparency regarding files in the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking investigation. Epstein's accomplice wrapped up 2 days of interviews with a top Justice Department official and the president's former attorney, Todd Blanche. Her attorney says she answered questions about 100 different people yesterday and that she did not hold anything back. Scott McFarland has more.
As he emerged from a second day of interviews in Tallahassee, Ghislaine Maxwell's defense lawyer, David Marcus, said she is cooperating freely.
We haven't asked for anything. This is not a situation where we're asking anything in return for for testimony or anything like that.
But as he departed for his golf resort in Scotland, President Trump refused to rule out a pardon for Maxwell, who's serving a 20-year prison term.
Would you consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell if she's cooperating?
It's something I haven't thought about. It's really something. I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about.
Maxwell was convicted of conspiracy and the repeated sexual abuse of young girls. And during her trial, some of the victims said they wanted her to be sentenced to life in prison. Deputy U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche, a former Trump criminal defense lawyer, has now conducted 2 closed-door meetings with Maxwell in an effort to quiet criticisms the administration is blocking access to the Epstein files. A plane flew a banner over the courthouse meeting site accusing the president and U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi of a cover-up. Blanche, Trump's number 2 Department of Justice official, said he sought the meetings with Maxwell as a response to the president's directive to release more evidence in the case.
That is totally unorthodox and outside the norms of the way the Department of Justice is supposed to operate.
Liz Oyer, a former U.S. pardon attorney, was fired from the Department of Justice in March.
Is she well positioned to get a pardon?
There's every reason to believe that they are seeking to make some sort of deal with Maxwell that will help them solve this political crisis.
Trump dismissed any talk of a pardon as he arrived in Scotland.
A lot of people are asking me about pardons. Obviously, this is no time to be talking about pardons.
So what became of these interviews? The Department of Justice so far has said only that it'll release information at the appropriate time, raising questions about when and what will ultimately be released. For CBS Saturday Morning, Scott McFarland, Washington.
So to reiterate off of that, the White House still rejects these allegations that Trump's name appears in Epstein-related documents, calling the Wall Street Journal's report fake news. DOJ and Trump administration officials maintain that any mention of the president in files is unverified hearsay and does not warrant prosecution. Despite this, prediction markets now place a 60% probability that Trump will authorize the release of previously unseen Epstein documents. Now, here's where people are trying to connect the dots. Here's where the conversation is starting. Several media analysts argue that the timing of the renewed Epstein push is also politically motivated because it coincides with Trump's ongoing legal challenges in the 2024-2025 election season. Shifting media focus to Epstein's network could rally Trump's base and deflect from scrutiny of the former president. So let's unpack this, right? Because I did do my research, and while I was looking up all of this information, I did come across a lot of pictures of Epstein and Trump together. They were at parties, they were chilling, right? So I can see why people would assume that it's not too far-fetched that his name would somehow be in this birthday book or associated with these files. It's clear that y'all knew each other. Y'all was hanging out. You feel me? So you have to understand why the public would speculate. Jeffrey Epstein was a wealthy financier. He knew everyone. Of course, he was convicted of, he was a convicted sex offender who operated in elite social circles, often rubbing shoulders with billionaires, celebrities, scientists, and politicians, including Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, and Donald Trump. So a lot of people are assuming that the Trump administration's investment in this is to somehow benefit Trump, right? If his name is associated with that means that he knew of the whole operation. He probably had him a trick or two. You feel me? And they want to make sure that they're doing the proper precautions to cover this up. In this industry, this world of media and politics, perception is currency. I'll say that again. Perception is currency. So I dislike them, but to explain to y'all or make sense of the talk around it, I'm going to put myself in his shoes. I'm the president. This talks about me being associated with a convicted sex offender who ran an elite sex ring who was handing out girls like Subway sandwiches. I don't want people to know that shit. And I'm the president. Hold up. I'm the president. I got power to cover this shit up. Man, y'all see where I'm going with it, right? So I don't see, again, it's not too far-fetched that the public would assume that he's associated or somehow linked to Jeffrey Epstein. I also will say that I think they are going to kind of fight against getting those documents released. And if they are released, they will more than likely be altered. They won't be the real thing. You feel me? So we're definitely going to be following this story because it is just interesting. And I can't stop this or end this story without mentioning that there's also conspiracy around Jeffrey Epstein's death. His autopsy showed a lot of signs or a lot of what is the word that I'm looking for? I think they said his neck, like there was something going on with the neck, pause. And the autopsy proposed maybe that it wasn't a suicide. Also, ironically, the cameras wasn't working. So nobody knows what happened during that time. I think they said the guards fell asleep or some shit. Like, are you serious? Y'all really think people fell and bumped their head? It's hilarious. But we're going to follow this story because it's interesting. I think the links and the it's just funny. I don't want to say too much. It's just really funny. But we will be following this story, y'all. By the way, all this is alleged. Wink, wink, right? We don't have any proof. We're just going off of public knowledge, right? The photos of him is out there. The speculation is out there. So we can only unpack it based on what we know, what we can prove, right? So this is all alleged. Wink, wink. Yes. But let's go on and unpack this 2-year limit proposal on public housing, you guys. Let's go ahead. The Trump administration has proposed imposing a 2-year time limit on federal housing assistance, including HUD public housing and Section 8 vouchers. According to analysts by NYU's Housing Solutions Lab, this policy could affect over 1.4 million households, most of which are working families with children, excluding those with disabilities or over age, who are exempt. Approximately 70% of affected households have already received assistance for 2 or more years. What do we know about, this so far? It's common knowledge that Black and Latino families make up a significant percentage of public housing residents due to long-standing economic inequities. And I want to focus on those economic inequities and this whole idea of, we're doing this so it will promote self-efficiency and it'll, promote people to make their own money is bullshit. Is bullshit, okay? Because it's going to take years to undo the social inequities that is embedded in this government. We already know of the lack of opportunities that are available to Black and Latino communities. We already know that schools that are in low-income areas, they don't even get the same budget as, schools that are in other areas. So it's like, make it make sense. This is not a good idea. People are going to be homeless, stressed, and trying to find somewhere to live. For real. I personally do not live in public housing or get any form of public assistance. But when my grandmother passed away, she did leave me an apartment that she had for years that was, her rent was fixated. My grandmother worked for years as a teacher, you feel me? And when she retired, she was saving up and she was eventually planning to move to North Carolina. And then she passed away. However, she did have a apartment in the projects, and the only 2 people on that lease was herself and me. So when she left and I was in my 20s, I was taking advantage of public assistance. You feel me? I was getting on my feet. I was still trying to find a job. I was trying to get back in school. So just imagine all of the other people who are in those type of situations, right? Who's been living or benefiting from public assistance. Now, it's a double-edged sword, because as much as I hate the administration, I'm all for self-efficiency. I do feel like people shouldn't get comfortable with just living off of someone else, i.e. the government. But we're talking about the Trump administration here. So people are going to wonder, okay, how is this going to benefit his new agenda? Because that's really what it boils down to. Are you really trying to make America great again? Or is this just another thing on your list of my world, my way? This will, in return, lower the amount of funds that the government will have to put into public housing. That is one thing I do know. But I just don't think it's a good idea. You know, I think that they need to focus on the social inequities, make the opportunities available so that when you do, you feel me, put them out there in the playing field, they have a ball to catch. That's all I'm saying. So switching gears, we are going to go ahead and talk about Hulk Hogan's death. Seems like we lost a lot of celebrities. Just lost Malcolm Jamal Warner, rest in peace to that black gem. I believe someone else died, and then now we have Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan's death, however, is causing a lot of conversation rather than legacy talk, because it was on the anniversary of his racist comments. Wrestling icon Hulk Hogan passed away on July 24th, 2025 at age 71, reportedly due to cardiac arrest in Clearwater Beach, Florida. Strikingly, his death came exactly 10 years to the day after WWE terminated him over a racist audio recording. Other outlets have confirmed this date alignment. Instead of sparking memorabilia, his passing has sparked conflicted responses. Conservatives and political allies, including President Trump, who called him a great friend and MAGA all the way, whatever the fuck that means, praise his legacy, yada, yada, yada. Black fans, that includes me, I used to be a fan until I heard that shit, and commentators have reflected critically on the painful legacy of his racist remarks and how they intersect with broader racial dynamics in wrestling and America. Now, in case y'all forgot, you know your boy got the audio. I'm going to go ahead and run it back, and then I'll be right back.
I've been trying to help her. I've done everything fucking with him day and night on the radio. I'm a jackass, and he's working with me to make it work. He goes out and you really shouldn't call her every day and do the shit I do. The South Beach record, this black billionaire guy, he's basically did more for her a year than anybody's done. Okay, he had one song after 10 months. This shit went back up and back and back still. And momentum, but I try to be the realist, and this is your option. You got a better option. Fuck said you can get signed with fucking. He's gonna put spot there and let me how you go, but right now there's nothing else. We're doing the best we can. So it gets to the point where I really broke was fucking the black guy's son, where they've been hanging out. I caught them holding hands together on the tour, they were getting close. I knew before I'm giving a fuck, okay? I'm not a double standard type guy. I'm a racist to a point. Yeah. You know, fucking weird. But then when it comes to nice people, you know,
we all are that way.
Yeah, but when it comes to nice people, you can't say. I don't give a fuck. She's already. I don't care. Fucking hate football. Fucking a dog basketball player. If we're gonna fuck with vendors, let's get a rich one. And this kid is a multi-billionaire. But the thing is, now they start doing these nasty emails, so someone will arrive at a relationship. And so now don't ever want to talk to anybody. No.
All right. So, in case you couldn't hear, because I know that recording is a little muffled, he said, and I quote, I mean, I'd rather if she was going to fuck some nigger. I'd rather her marry an 8-foot-tall nigger worth $100 million, like a basketball player. He went on to say, I guess we're all a little racist. Fucking nigger. With the ER, y'all. With the ER. Not nigga, but nigger. With the ER. Again, right, WWE terminated his contract, removed him from their Hall of Fame. He was later reinstated though in 2018. So there's that. But he lost various endorsement deals. He publicly apologized, claiming that the comments didn't reflect his true character and were made during a dark time in his life. I have to point out he never directly apologized to the black community. It was just more of a, I apologize and I've grown. It was me a while ago. It was that, type of thing. It's sad, right? Because again, when someone passes away, and this is not just a celebrity, this is anyone, you want to, out of respect, do your best to remember them in a positive light. But the reaction to his death, right? The reaction to his death teaches us that legacy is not just about what you did. It's about how you owned your mistakes, who you hurt, and what you stood for in the end. And that's really what it boils down to, right? And it's, again, really unfortunate that instead of remembering who he was and his legacy in the WWE game, we're talking about his comments saying he would rather his daughter marry a worth $8 million like a basketball player. It's crazy. And if you were wondering why he was making these comments, his daughter Brooke Hogan, who had a slight music career, she had a song called About Us with Paul Wall. It was fire. But yeah, she was dating a black guy. So I guess he was, talking to somebody he thought he was in a safe space. And yeah, he was just letting it rip. All of the N-words he had in his bag, just letting it go. Boom, boom, boom. You get an N-word. You get an N-word. It's crazy. But I'm going to end that there. And I'll just say, y'all, learn from this. Learn from this. Prayers to the people who loved him. I'm sure they're going through it right now, having to deal with these mixed emotions, mixed reactions, but learn from this. Oh, I remember who the other person was, y'all, too, that died. It was Ozzy Osbourne. Yeah, it was Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness. That's what he was called, at least. I really wasn't an Ozzy Osbourne fan, so I can't even speak too much on his career or passing. All I do remember is that his daughter was on The View, and they were discussing something. I believe it was deportation, and his daughter was like, Donald Trump, who was going to clean your toilets if you send all of the Latino people home, or something like that. And I would just remember Rosie Perez, who was on that episode, looking at her like, are you studious right now? You studious? She from the Bronx. She put on that, are you studious right now? And I'm sitting right here, oh no, mommy. Are you studious? Like her face just said it all, like she was ready to pop on her. And again, right? Clouded legacy, clouded rememberabilia. Yeah. But rest in peace to them both. Moving on. It's time for the health tip of the week. Health tip of the week. Last week we talked about ginger, the benefits of ginger, how incorporating that into your diet can aid your body. And today we're going to be talking about turmeric, y'all. Turmeric, I love turmeric. I mix it a lot of times with lemon, and I take it as a shot. And turmeric actually has a lot of benefits. It fights cancer. It's an antioxidant. It helps with depression, heart disease, a lot. It also can help with arthritis, anxiety, kidney health. It just goes on and on and on. You want to be careful, though, because there are a few things that cannot be mixed with turmeric. So blood thinners, diabetes, medications, and medications that affect liver function or iron absorption, those can counteract. So you want to be careful if you take anything that aids to what I just mentioned. It is also important to be cautious when combining turmeric with other supplements that may affect blood clotting, liver health, or blood sugar levels, as mentioned, and other health resources. So this is public knowledge. You can look this up anywhere. So what I say to y'all is, like I said, right, I usually take me some turmeric, get some lemon, you put a little water in there, you shake that up, and you got yourself a shot. And all of these benefits that I just went over can help, it'll boost your immunity. So healthy living, happy life, right? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Bird is the word. Y'all, We made it to episode 10, the end of episode 10. Can you believe it? I want to thank y'all so much for tuning into the Zay Moore Podcast. Everybody who has been listening consistently since episode 1, I see you, and I appreciate you so much. I also want to shout out New Zealand. I see y'all on the map. Okay, we had Austria, now we got New Zealand coming behind listening. That's such a big deal for me. I want to thank y'all so much. I try my best to make every episode fun and engaging and full of information and just something, at least, you know, from one topic I cover, we can take a bit of whatever, you know, the situation is or the lesson is from the situation and apply it to our everyday lives. So I just want to thank y'all for going on this journey with me every week. I will be meeting with y'all Tuesday because we'll have so much more to get into, I'm pretty sure, because the world keeps on spinning. But again, this has been your boy Zay Moore for the Zay Moore Podcast. And until next time, peace.